Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, and tonight, whenever the heck you're watching this, we are getting into a new video today. Today we are talking about great classic Kentucky bourbons. We're getting away from any MGP related stuff and we're kind of bringing it to the roots of classic Kentucky bourbons. But before we get into this video, please do me that favor. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. But let's get into today's video. So like I said, I've been kind of getting really into MGP this year. Especially recently, I've kind of become a huge fan of Doc Swinson's. I've been bringing up a decent amount of barrel products in the last month as well. So I kind of wanted to move away from that and I wanted to focus on, let's get back to the roots of where this all came from. What are some classic grassroots bourbons from kind of like heritage Kentucky distilleries? Kentucky distilleries that have been around for a while. The labels have been around for a while, as in like at least 4 or 5 years or so, somewhere around there. And, you know, that are absolute hitters, as well as a small asterisk outside of them being hitters. They've been around, they're from, you know, heritage, findability. I want them to be findable. If you can't find them, it's of borderline no use for me to talk about. Buffalo Trace is a great distillery, but you're not going to see any of those bottles on this list. But I've talked far too long about it, so let's get right into the first one. First one up is going to be a bottle that you might not have expected coming from me. But that is Knob Creek 9-year-old single barrel. Yeah, usually you see either, you know, the Old Granddad 114, you know, maybe the Knob Creek 12 or the Jim Beam single barrel when I think of Beam products. But if I'm looking for a Beam product that is readily available, slaps constantly, look no further. Knob Creek 9-year-old single barrels. And I can asterisk this one as well. Just a normal Knob Creek 9-year. They're both freaking phenomenal. It's 9-year-old Jim Beam juice. And there is something about that nuttier flavor profile that I get off of Jim Beam products that works really, really well with age. The 9-year-old oak, that oak impact is really, really nice. Yeah, it's not overly nutty and oaky. There are still a lot of brightness and nice fruity characteristics going on in this bottle. So I really, really like these bottles, and I love that we can still get them around that kind of like $50 range. Some single barrels are not getting into the 60s, maybe 65s for a pick. But the nice thing about picks is you can usually try them before you buy them if your liquor store is dope. So, you know, you can make sure you're getting a really good single barrel for that $65 at a minimum. But after that one, getting into another one I don't talk about, and I guess we'll keep with the theme of single barrels. Russell's single barrels. This is an old single barrel. I haven't gotten a new one in a while. I've had a lot of picks over the last few years of Russell single barrels, and what I can say is they haven't lost quality whatsoever. Wild Turkey Russell's Reserve is freaking phenomenal. I absolutely love them. I just haven't gotten around to buying a new single barrel. I haven't seen a single barrel recently that I absolutely had to buy, but I've also been kind of focusing primarily on either MGP or craft whiskey, so I've been away from Kentucky for a little bit, so don't sue me on this one. But I really, really like these. These are 110 proof single barrels coming from Wild Turkey. 110 proof. Really great proof for sipping. And these being single barrels, obviously we're going to get different impacts. That Wild Turkey flavor profile, you get a lot of cinnamon, a lot of nuttiness, and this nice like cherry pie flavor profile. This personal single barrel I have is super, super cinnamony, baking spice heavy. I really, really like this one personally. I've gone through quite a few of these myself. I kind of went away from them for a little bit, but honestly, I think I need to get a new Russell's Reserve single barrel. So if anyone's in the Arizona area and they know of a really, really good single barrel pick that is still available, hit me up. Your boy needs another one. Hit me up. But let's move on. Let's get into the next one. And the next one is going to be Maker's 46. And just like the previous Beam product, because I'm pretty sure Maker's Mark is a subsidiary of Beam nowadays. But, you know, lower proof version of this, the lower proof version of that, still same. Freaking awesome. I'm just a bit of a proof whore, so I like to gravitate towards proof. And I know this is an older bottling of the Maker's 46. That being said, it's actually not an older bottling. I'm just a sucker for this bottle, so I keep on dumping my juice back into this. I know. I just like these bottles on my shelf a little bit better. So when I kill it, I save the bottle and I dump the new one in there because, the dumb little screw top bottles don't look as cool. French oak stave finished Maker's Mark products. And if you've been around the channel for a while, I really like these ones. That being said, I don't like the normal ones that much because they're just kind of bland, boring. I get the sour, funky flavor profile off of them. But on these ones, I get none such thing. I think it's because that spiciness that you get from the French oak stave finishing really, really balances out that creaminess that you get from the wheated flavor profile. I can't know 100% one way for sure. But, let's move on to the next one. And after that one, Four Roses Small Batch Select. This bottle is one of the more unique classic Kentucky bourbons out there. Heritage distilleries, whatever you want to call it. This one is unique as heck. These small batch selects are weird. They're different than your average bourbon. These go super floral and super minty, which is usually characteristic or a note that I get off of a rye bottle, like usually a good kind of more earthier, savory type rye. That's what this presents like. This, in blinds, reminds me of a rye. It reminds me of rye. I really, really like this. This bottle reminds me of a rye or like a burr rye. So I really like that you get a little bit of that more herbal, peppery, kind of floral side of bourbon. Because usually when you think high rye bourbon, it's not super minty rye forward. But this one is. So I really, really like that this one is unique. It's unique. It's not for everyone, so you really gotta like rye to really like this bottle, but I think it's really, really unique, and this type of video would be a miss without that bottle because, again, super unique. And this next one is probably the newest one on this list outside of maybe the 46 cash strength, but that is Old Forester 1910. Change or crossover, switchover for this would be Woodford Double Oak. That being said, I think Old Forester 1910 is a little bit more well-rounded, but this has a nice bit of oak, this like toasted graham cracker or marshmallowy type flavor. There's a little bit more of that toastiness that you get off of a double oaked in this specific bottling. So I'm a huge fan of these 1910s. And again, I think this label came out like 4 or 5 years ago or somewhere around that range. So it's a little bit on the newer side for a classic Kentucky bourbon. But again, you really need that double oaked bourbon if you're going to talk about bourbons, because I think double oaked bourbons are pretty freaking great. And then last but definitely not least, we're talking classic bourbons. This one needs no introductions. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. 12-year-old Heaven Hill. And like I said about the Knob Creek single barrel, that ultra aged goes really, really well with a nutty flavor profile, and that's how this stuff is. These are getting significantly easier to find nowadays as well, which is absolutely fantastic. I love these. This one's 11.5, so take that as you will. I know some haters gonna hate. I think it's still great. But that ultra aged, that more aged, nutty flavor profile gets really, really dark. It gets chocolatey. I get a lot of peanut butter, so I get a nice bit of chocolate peanut buttery for like 125, mid 120s proof point, which is also really, really great. So I love all of these Kentucky bourbons. These are my top 6 classic Kentucky bourbons. By classic, I mean heritage distilleries. I like these offerings. These are available. I find them everywhere. They come from a well-known, well-respected brand. So these are kind of my go-tos for if I'm looking for a classic Kentucky bourbon and I'm just, maybe on vacation looking for a bottle at a random liquor store. I'm in town for a week with the boys. So I'm like, oh, that sounds like at least one bottle. What bottles am I going to go to? And if I'm looking for a nice bottle, I'm pulling up one of these 6 if I can. But that's my list. Again, do me that favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know down below what you thought about this list, and let me know down below what would your list be. There's a lot of really, really good classic Kentucky bourbons out there from heritage distilleries that are freaking phenomenal. So, you know, this list can be rewritten 1,000 different ways to Sunday, but I really, really like these, and I hope you like these as well. That being said, again, this is a wrap. So cheers, y'all. We'll see you later.